Okay, if you guys haven't seen, over the weekend there was a huge Hyundai plant in Georgia raided by ICE.
South Korea is working to secure the safe return of hundreds of citizens after they were caught up in an immigration raid last week. A dramatic scene on Thursday when federal agents executed a raid on a Hyundai facility and battery plant in Georgia, arresting 475 people, a majority of them South Korean nationals. The raid was the largest single-site immigration enforcement operation in DHS history. Now, the White House is warning more large-scale worksite raids.
So let's talk about it. This is actually very interesting because this is the first time that we've talked about ICE that does not involve day laborers, farmers, Home Depot raids, street vendors. This is a Hyundai plant that has a whole bunch of Korean nationals there working on building a plant that is supposedly involved in trade negotiations that was done with Donald Trump in Korea a while back. They're building a plant, and it seems like a lot of people want this to just go away from Donald Trump, Korea, Hyundai, like they just swept under the rug. Supposedly ICE was not even here for these Korean workers.
One thing I think that's been unclear through all this is why did ICE and a specific part of ICE, HSI, go to this plant? They were looking for 4 Latino workers. That's it. In fact, when ICE went to this plant, we have now found out they didn't understand that there were a lot of Koreans there. The Koreans were never part of the plan, which is why they didn't even bring a single Korean translator with them. It turns out that the vast majority of these Korean workers weren't pounding nails. They weren't building facilities. They were working on what's called after sales service and installation, pursuant to valid visas in the United States. Every one of these individuals had entered on a visa. They had told Customs and Border Protection why they were here. For those that actually had visas as opposed to ESTA, they had gone to the consulate and explained they were working for companies that were selling the parts of the plant that create the batteries from their foreign companies. It turns out there's only 3 companies in the entire world that actually make the equipment that allows you to make batteries. And none of those companies are in the United States. These individuals were working for those companies in installing the plant so the plant could then employ U.S. workers.
Okay, so that was Charles Kuck. He's an American immigration lawyer. He was talking to MSNBC. He was the only one that said anything about ICE was there looking for the Latinos, which in a way makes sense. They're just like going around whatever, looking for whoever they can find. And they just happen to stumble upon the group of Korean workers, 400 of them, and they were just shocked. He's the only one that's mentioned anything about that. Homeland Security, they said that they've been investigating this for months.
This, in fact, was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of Homeland Security investigations. This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court.
I mean, just looking at everything, it just seems somewhat unlikely that they just randomly stumbled upon this Hyundai plant looking for 5 workers, because they came in there full decked out with a military style operation, lots and lots of soldiers, lots of ICE agents. Just seemed unnecessary for 5 Latino workers. This is very fascinating to me. I don't know, let me know what you guys think, but I think this is the first time that we've seen ICE crack down on an operation that's not like street vendors, day laborers, farmers. You know what I'm trying to say. These are highly specialized workers from Korea. And as was mentioned before, there are only so many companies that know anything about, electric vehicle batteries or just highly specialized batteries in general. Only so many companies. So these workers are here to set up the machines, train people, get American workers going. And even Donald Trump's reaction to this whole thing is a lot different then you're talking about some, like farmer or street vendor or whatever.
Batteries, if you don't have people in this country right now that know about batteries, maybe we should help them along and let some people come in and train our people to do, complex things, whether it's battery manufacturing or computer manufacturing or building ships. So we're going to look at that whole situation. We have a lot of industries that we don't have anymore, and we're going to have to train people. And the way you train people is bring people in that know what they're doing and let them stay for a little while and help. So I'm going to look at that. It's a very interesting situation that took place in Georgia. And we heard about it yesterday. At the same time, ICE was doing right because they were here illegally. But we do have to work something out where we bring in experts so that our people can be trained so that they can do it themselves. Does that make sense?
What he said is all very true. And the interesting thing is a lot of these Korean workers are going to get deported, right? Back to Korea. They've already negotiated for them to go back to Korea, opposed to, I found this part funny, opposed to some of the other, deportations that we've heard about where they just send them to some random country that has nothing to do with them. But at least they're going back to Korea. What is very interesting, though, is that they're going to get sent back to Korea. And there's a very good chance that in a week, 2 weeks or whatever, they're going to get sent back to America, because they're here for a purpose to help build this plant. There are only so many people that know anything about, building this plant that's supposed to be for electric vehicles for Hyundai, the batteries. So they're going to get sent back. Which is very interesting. I guess they're gonna change possibly the visa rules for these Korean workers to come over here, because as Donald Trump said himself, they need to be here to train Americans how to operate and run the plant. We don't make anything in America anymore. Right? And people have to come and retrain people how to do it. It's not like all of a sudden you want to bring back manufacturing and it's just going to start up. There's a build-up time. I mean, we don't even make t-shirts anymore in America. And supposedly nobody even knows how to make a t-shirt in America, at least at scale. I mean, I'm pretty sure grandma can sew together a t-shirt, but I'm talking full-on production. So what do you guys think about this whole thing?